Hello guys, this is the 8th tutorial in the series of C programming, and this programming tutorial today that I'm going to show you is perhaps the most of the 8 tutorials that I've shown you today, or like all the 8 tutorials. This is the most important, and now I just request you that if you haven't watched out the previous tutorials, just go ahead and just go through it, because this tutorial video is going to use all the techniques of the 7 tutorials before this, because it's going to require all the knowledge that you have learned up till this point. And because today we're going to learn about an array. An array is a collection, basically. When we were kids, we have learned that nouns are of different kinds, like the proper noun, the common noun, the collective noun, and that's where this array comes in. A collective noun is basically, for example, if you see a bunch of keys, we mean there are lots of keys. It can be key 1, key 2, key 3, key 4, and key 5, and all those keys taken together, tied in a bunch, we call it a bunch of keys. Similarly, in a C program, when we have lots of integers and lots of characters and lots of floating point numbers, we consider making an array. So basically, an array is a collection. It can be a collection of numbers, that can be a collection of integer numbers, or it can be a collection of floating point numbers, or it can be a collection of characters. And when it is a collection of characters, we call it a string instead of an array. For example, if we store the numbers from 1 to 10 in a collection, we would call it a collection of integers, and we would probably name it as an array of, say, A10. A, and then within A we require from 1 to 10, we require 10 places, so we get A10, and in those A10 it can hold from 1 to 10. Now there are two ways to initialize an array. For example, if we know that the elements of the array are going to be from 1 to 10, we can give a third bracket, and then we can give an equal to sign, and we can start a curly braces, and we can go from 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. That would be an array of integers from 1 to 10. And now suppose, and one more thing, when it is an array, just have a look in our paint screen. An array stores the numbers in a format. In fact, in C, whenever we're talking about numbers, in C the counting starts from 0. It doesn't start from 1. So when we have written our number 1 to 10, 1 would be stored in the 0th position, 2 would be stored in the first position, that's number 1, and 3 in 2, 4 in 3, 5 in 4, 6 in 5, 7 in 6, 8 in 7, 9 in 8, and 10 in 9. Okay, these numbers really look not like numbers, but just understand that these are actually numbers. Okay, and so our array would consist of 10 numbers, that's 1 to 10, so it would be 1 2 3, and it will go on dot dot dot, another dot, another dot, another dot, to 10. Alright, so let's get back to your screen editor, and here we have A. Now these third brackets are to hold the number of elements. You need to give a number, right? If you know the number of elements in your array, you can give a number which will actually create that many spaces in the memory to hold those numbers, those integer numbers. So since we know from 1 to 10 there are 10 numbers, we can give 10. So that would mean int A10 would mean that the program would actually create an array in your computer's memory and reserve 10 places wherein 1 to 10 would be stored. Let's get back to our paint screen. What int A10, I believe it was A10, yeah, A10. What int A10 would basically do would actually take a memory box like this, and it would reserve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 10 places in your memory, and it would have different memory locations. For example, say like this can be 5067, and then it can be, you know, like 5068, and it would go up to 5077. So this int A10 would actually create a box in your memory, the computer's memory, and it would reserve 10 places inside that array which would contain integers. So that's basically int A10. But when you actually know that the elements of these integers, the elements of the array would be 1 to 10, and if you write those elements down in the curly braces, you don't actually require the spaces, the number, because the editor would actually see this and reserve that many number of spaces, and you don't have to write it manually. But if these were not there, and we would also learn about how to take an input in an array from a user, in that case you need to predefine a number, and that many locations would be saved in the memory for the user's use. Right, so int a, some numbers are there, int a 1 to 10 integers, and now we'll just check, we'll just printf any number. So let's just print %d, because these are all, after all, integers. We'll print, say, a. Now this 1 is stored in the A0th position, as I said it over here. 1 would be stored in A0, 2 would be stored in A1. So if we want to see the number which is, say, here, that would be 4, 5, and 6. 6 would be in A5th position. So if we print out A6 over here, if we print out A6, we'd basically get the number 5. I hope so. A6 would give us the number, sorry, A5 would give us the number 6. It's 4, 5, 6. So A5 would give us the number 6, and A6 would give us the number 7. So we'll print out A5, and we'll see that it would show the number 6. We'll just give a get ch over here. We'll come back, give the curly braces, and end the program. We'll just check for any errors, and we have a success, and we'll run the program now. So see, A5, so we have this array of integers. It, as I said, it can be array of floating point numbers as well, and in that case we would have written float a, the third bracket, and printf %f, because that would mean a floating point number. So but in this case it's an integer array, and in that array we have integers from 1 to 10, and we just printed A5, so the number in the 5th position would be printed. And in the 5th position, as in an array, counting starts from 0, so it would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So A5 would give us the number 6, and we have the number 6. Alright, now let's see how to take an input from a user in an array. So in that case, let's just say we want to fix 10 numbers. We want to save 10 memory locations in our computer's RAM, and we just say printf enter 5 numbers. Alright, now we need to take another variable I, which will be used in a loop. We'll get to know that. Now since we are going to take 5 numbers, and we also want to print those numbers in a little while, so we want to take those numbers in the array using a for loop. Now how do you use a for loop in an array? We write for, and then I is equal to 0, because in an array, remember, counting starts from 0. So I0 would mean that the number which the user enters at first, that would be I0, and that would be stored in A0 position. I0 would be stored in A0 position, alright? And I would go up to less than equal to 5 because we have asked for 5 numbers, and I would be plus plus. We're incrementing I, right? And now would basically store those numbers. So we'd scanf that, and scanf, we're basically scanning integers. We'll give a %d, and then we'll store that in the array address and %ai. Now why ai? I'll get back to you. Alright, now since it's the reason it's AI is because we are actually storing these numbers in the ith position. So when I is equal to 0, the first number would be stored in A0 position, in the address of A0 position. When I is incremented to 1, it will be stored in A1 position. When I is 2, it will be stored in A2 position, A3, A4, and A5. When I becomes 6 after incrementation, it would check for this condition whether I is less than equal to 5, and since that condition would be false, it would exit out from that loop, and those numbers would be stored in the array we have given A10. Now we just want to print those back. So for printing, we need to write another for loop, and that for loop would be like this: I is equal to 0, and I would be just basically the same thing. Instead of scanf, we'll just do a printf, and I should be once again less than equal to 5, and I should be incremented. No, I would be incremented, and we just need to print those back now. Let's just say u \n, then you entered, then another \n, so that every time it becomes a \n. Alright, you entered \n, %d, because these are all after all integers, because it's a collection of integers, this array. %d, close that, double invert comma, and now we want to print out ai, right? Because whenever I is 0, it would print out A0, which we have stored over here. When I is 1, it would print out A1, and like that would go up to A5, and when A becomes 6, it would exit out of the loop, because even though we have reserved 10 places of memory, we have asked the user for only 5 numbers. So you can have a large number of memory here, but then more memory you use, that reserves more amount of your RAM memory, and that might cause the computer to hang up if you have a less amount of memory. So it's always better to actually include the exact number of memory locations that we require, and if you are unaware of that, you can always give a little bit more than what you think, right? So that's it, and then we'll go back to a getch. Before getch, I'd like to print a thank you. Let's just say printf \n \t. We'll give a thank you. Right, so that's it, and we're done. We just need to close the program by giving these curly braces. We just check for any errors. We have a success, and we'll just go ahead and run that. Alright, now enter 5 numbers. It's at this position. Now now it's gonna enter the for loop. Now at this position I is 0, so we enter the first number, which is say 7. So 7 gets stored in the A0th position. Now we say 9, so 9 would be stored in A1th position, because I is now incremented from 0 to 1. When I is 0, the number 7 got stored in A8th position, and now I has been incremented to 1, and now the number I write, that's number 9, would be stored in the A1th position. Now let's just say write the number 5, so 5 would be stored in A3. Now let's just say we write 17 would be stored in A4, sorry, A3. It's A0, A1, A2, A3, and now let's just say the last number, we just say 2014. So that would be stored in A4th position. Alright. Alright, now there should be you entered that numbers that should come up. I don't know why it's not coming. Alright, let's just check for any errors. Let's see what we do. I enter for less than equal to 5. plus plus scanf percentage d and percent ai for I is equal to 0, I less than equal to 5, plus plus printf you entered percentage d ai. There's nothing wrong in that. I don't know why it's not showing up. I don't have any idea. Funny, this has never happened before. It's not even printing this thank you part. Well, let's just try it one more time. Enter 5 numbers: 5, 6, 9, 8, 7, 6. Alright, so in the last time we didn't enter 5 numbers. Wow. So enter 5 numbers: 5, 6, 9. So we're actually entering 3 numbers. Now the problem was we needed to do I less than 5. Since we're starting from 0, it would be I less than 5, because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's already 5 numbers. If it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means if I is equal to 5, then that would be 6 numbers. So as the counting starts from 0, we need to keep that in mind. So that was you know, a minor mistake which happens if you are not careful, I suppose. Alright, let's just try that one more time, this time in a better way. Let's just say 7, 9, 8, 56 and 2014. Alright, so it would come up as 7, 9, 8, 56 and 2014, then a thank you so much. Alright, so that's how that's what an array is all about. It's a collection of numbers. It can be a collection of integers, or a collection of floating point numbers, or it can be a collection of characters which are called strings. They have a specific name. They're called strings, which we will learn in a later part of the series. But for now, just remember, an array is a collection of numbers or floating point numbers. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. There are lots of things you can do with arrays. There are also These are actually one-dimensional arrays, but there are two-dimensional arrays as well. We'll learn that in the later part of the series if you can, but as for now, just concentrate on the one-dimensional arrays. There are lots of things you can do with arrays. Actually, you can find we'll do a lot of problems on the arrays, like finding the larger of 5 numbers in an array. We've done the larger of 2 numbers, but now we'll do the larger of 5 or 6 or 7 numbers, or finding or ascending an array in the arranging an array in the ascending or descending order. So we'll learn all those programs in the later part, but for now, this is all an array, and in the next tutorial we'll look into more on arrays, and hopefully we'll start with a new topic of functions and pointers, which is another important part of C. And if you can learn through those pointers and functions, it will it's one of the best things about C, and it's one of the complicated and most hard part C, which I found when I was studying all this stuff. So thank you for watching, and these arrays are very important. Just practice, go through it, and if you have any problem, just post me a comment and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.